Turn to page 394.
So apparently the most dangerous spell in the Harry Potter show is melanin. So yeah, a new trailer for the Harry Potter HBO series just dropped, and Severus Snape is now played by a black actor, Papaisedu, and somehow the internet has decided that this is the real dark magic. Not Voldemort, not Horcrux, just a black man in a robe. Now, we knew this already, but we didn't actually know how he was going to look. Look, because he wasn't actually really in a robe in this, at least not for this particular shot, but he looks pretty dope, I think. And I'm sure there's a good explanation for the zippers, but he looks pretty cool to me. I don't know what you all thought his hair was going to look like. Straight? No way. That would have looked weird. Locks were definitely the better way to go if you're going to give him the long hair in the first place. Now, I want to start off saying this clearly and upfront, okay? Not at the end of the video when half y'all already clicked off like some others I've seen. Death threats to the actor are unacceptable. You're weird, full stop. What are you doing with your life? Unless you're a 12-year-old trying to be edgy, bruh. Then we got people making memes of Snape holding a gun, putting Kool-Aid in potions, tilting the wand sideways like it's a drive-by spell casting. And look, I'm not gonna lie, in isolation, some of these are kind of funny, okay? But once you mix that with actual hate, now you're all sitting at the same table as the death threaters, okay? Same energy, different flavor. This is just an actor trying to make a living doing what he loves to do, act. And like I said, a lot of people will say, yeah, don't send death threats, blah, blah, blah. But they'll bury that line at the 8-minute mark of the video like as a disclaimer nobody's actually supposed to hear. Nah, put that up front and center. Otherwise, you're fueling the rage and the hate toward a man who's really just trying to make a living. Because at the end of the day, like I said, he's an actor doing what he loves, picking a role he knows is going to be impactful for better or worse. And I'm even hearing people trying to give the whole merit argument. So he's a DEI hire. What does merit have to do with it? He's an actor. That's the merit. This isn't the Olympics. There's no wand lifting competition or spell casting test he needs to do, okay? Now, let's be real. People not liking race swaps, that's not a crazy take. I get it. I'm with it. Sometimes I fully agree with it, especially if it comes to real historical figures being race swapped out. I've said it before, I'd rather see more original black characters with their own stories, their own worlds, their own mythologies. Not just mixing existing ones like a DJ who ran out of records, okay? But this is fiction, y'all. Nobody went to school with Snape. There's no Ancestry.com for Hogwarts. No matter how many which house did you belong to quizzes you did on Facebook, okay? So if Snape has dark skin now, don't worry, he's still Snape, or at least that's what he's supposed to be.
There will be no foolish wand-waving or silly incantations in this class. As such, I don't expect many of you to appreciate the subtle science and exact art that is potion-making. However, for those select few...
Just like in the movies, Alan Rickman didn't have the exact book description either, all right? He's supposed to have these big nose and this greasy hair and all that. But did people complain about the lack of schnozzle? No, because he felt like Snape. And that comes from the character themselves, the writing, the direction, and not just the look. Not that the look can't matter, but to put that above the actual essence, the core of Snape himself, makes no sense to me. You're not supposed to see Black Snape. You're supposed to see Snape, who happens to be black. Let's judge this man on his acting talents and skill and how the character is portrayed. Not just the fact that his skin color is dark. Because if the character is bad, the character was gonna be bad no matter what. Because if your brain jumps straight to, oh, he's gonna, tilt his wand sideways, or he's putting grape drink in a potion, that's not the show's writing, that's just you. And here's the part that I hear a lot. Representation actually does do something. Like, there's a whole, real world pattern too. When someone breaks this is an impossible barrier, suddenly other people start to do it too. Like, I'm talking world records, okay? Take in the 4-minute mile. For decades, we're talking decades, the sporting world believed it was physically impossible for a man to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Medical professions at the time even theorized that a human heart might literally burst under the pressure of such a pace. The barrier, the record set at 4 minutes and 1.4 seconds. For 9 years, it seemed like a hard psychological ceiling. Come May 6th, Roger Bannister runs it in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. And all of a sudden, the floodgates. Just 46 days later, Bannister's record broken within a year. 3 more runners after that did the same, all within a year. Sometimes seeing is believing. So the same thing is here when it comes to representation. A kid watching this may not care about the lore accuracy. They just want to see someone who looks like them in a world that they love. Feel more a part of it. That's not a bad thing. But that world still needs to be written well and have good characters that are believable with strong emotional impact. They cannot just be black people in these characters. That's not good enough, right? So I won't pretend that Hollywood is innocent in what they're trying to do. We know that this is marketing. High-level premium chef's kiss rage bait marketing. I'm talking raging, baiting on the level of multi-million dollars. A lot of people think, like, what is Hollywood doing? They know what they're doing, bro. You really think nobody in the room said, hey, if we make Snape black, the internet's gonna explode. You know that, right? Of course they did. And it might bury them, but it only buries them if the series itself sucks. And I'm sure they had an entire meeting about it. I'm talking PowerPoint slides, snacks, vibes, and maybe a little ChatGPT on the side. They know what they're doing. And the actor they chose, he knew what he was getting into and what was coming, and he accepted it. Because outrage equals attention, attention is views, and views is money, baby. And honestly, it works, but to a limit. But now, everyone's talking about the show. They probably weren't even thinking about checking last week. Who knows? Works, doesn't work. It spreads the word around. And yeah, some people think this is going to be a distract from a weak reboot, right? It creates a scapegoat by having this black guy here and blaming the audience members. Maybe that's entirely possible. I won't even front it. But that only works so long, right? If the show is trash, people will leave. No amount of discourse can save it, even if they want to do it after. You can't save boring, and you can't blame them. Ratings will speak for themselves. Starfleet Academy, they're a prime example of that. I'm surprised they're even getting a season 2. But that's all they're getting, because it's done after that. Because the show kind of just sucks. And no amount of LGBTQ involvement made it suck. These writers just suck. So speaking of the show, let's get into a little bit more of the trailer, right? I'm not going to gas it because it looks kind of generic. I'm not going to lie. It's not the greatest. Very muted colors, very modern prestige TV. Like everything has to look depressed now. And I get it. It's to reflect the modern stage of life as is right now. So despite my feelings toward the actual trailer, I get it. And, you know, it just being kind of meh. It's also a TV show, so we got like 2 minutes of it. There's a whole lot we haven't seen yet that I can't wait to see. So, meh trailer, but that's okay. What's strange is some of y'all are saying Hagrid doesn't even sound like Hagrid. Like, where are you even getting this from? He's a book character. He doesn't sound like anything. You're hearing Harry Potter film series nostalgia in your head. And that's not objective. That's just memory. You can't look through everything through your nostalgia goggles. Otherwise, you'll never be able to experience a new version of that thing. And if you don't want to experience a new version of that thing, that is fine. But you don't need to crap on the current or newer version. Now, at the end of the day, we've got multiple versions of characters and we will get them forever. And we have so many right now. We're talking multiple Jokers, multiple Batmans, multiple Supermans, different actors, different interpretations, but the same core element. Even the Green Lanterns, which I think is a good example. Different races play Green Lantern, but same ideas, same traits of how a Green Lantern is chosen. So if Snape is still bitter, petty, low-key, kind of terrifying, that's Snape. Not Black Snape, just Snape. But, let me know what y'all think. Are you actually worried about the show or just reacting to the actual casting and that's enough to make you be like, well, I'm not going to watch the show anymore, despite having really seen nothing? Let me know. Talk to me in the comments. And that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, you'll love the next one coming up. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, and share this out.